Ladies, gentlemen, and genetic anomalies, what is happening? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. And if not, I hope that today's stream makes your day at least a little bit better. I'm your host, Nanubi, coming to you live from the East Coast of the United States of America. And today we have a bunch of things to talk about. The big thing I want to talk about is the whole Cutie Cinderella streamer awards situation, because it's been a while since I talked about streamer drama, but this was just like too big and interesting for me to ignore and not cover on stream. Also, there are other things going on. There's some news articles that I might react to as well. There's some newer stories that I might get to as well, like stuff surrounding the whole like don't give up the ship thing. There's some developments with that. I have a bunch of show prep also from previous streams where I wanted to cover certain stories but didn't have the time to do so. So I think I'm going to use this stream to cover those stories as well. But thanks everyone for tuning in. The Angry Canadian here says, so my roommate wanted quiet after I asked him how his day in classes were, so I'm giving him the entire week of quiet. This sounds retaliatory. If I'm gonna be honest, this sounds retaliatory. You should be as quiet as he wants you to be. You should not be more quiet or less quiet. The Angry Canadian says, streamer awards, no one watches those narcissists. Hey, some of those narcissists are cool, you gotta admit. No, I like watching streamers. You know, I will watch occasional Ludwig videos as long as he's talking about drama. You know, RIP, what was it? RIP Mogul Mail, though. Mogul Mail was goated. Who else? Myth is fun to watch. You know, I used to watch him playing Fortnite. Now he's kind of like an Arc Raiders streamer. It's fun to watch him stream. What other streamers? XQC. I don't watch as much Asmongold anymore. He is like so much into like the political commentary route where it's like, if I want to watch political commentary, I'd rather watch it from someone who like is a little bit more informed. No hate against Asmongold. You know, I agree with some of his views, but not all of them. I think he has some of them just because he is not as informed as he could be. Oh, by the way, one thing I wanted to say, because hey, this is Thanksgiving, this is the season of thanks, of giving thanks. By the way, hold on, I'm actually going to cut the music off for this section because this is actually going to be a segment here. But while I am here streaming in the Thanksgiving season, I do want to say I've got people in the chat right now chatting. Thanks everyone for sending messages in the chat. I do appreciate you guys. I do want to say, you know, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I do appreciate you guys for watching my streams. I do appreciate you guys for engaging with the streams as well as the videos. I know that, you know, I don't always get a lot of views on the videos. It's whatever. But, you know, for the times when you guys do engage, I appreciate that. For the times you guys engage in the Discord server, I appreciate all of that. I think that, you know, Thanksgiving is a perfect time for me to sort of just like set aside a specific time to tell you guys, hey, thanks for watching my content. Now, I do want to talk about kind of where my content is at the moment. You know, one thing I have noticed, I've been thinking about this over the past week or two. One thing I have noticed is that the quality of my non-newbie videos has been decreasing with the college football season. I am noticing this. I think this is being reflected in the views somewhat. And yes, it's something I'm noticing. I think one reason why the quality of the videos has been decreasing is that I just haven't had as much time to do like prep and study for the topics I talk about. So especially, and also one thing too is, if I'm going to be honest, Mogul Mail going away, because I was inspired by, you know, Mogul Mail a bit in like how I present the news stories that I talk about, especially like if you go back like 1 year ago, very heavily inspired by Mogul Mail. So with that gone, now I'm just sort of more like freewheeling it. And I think the format that I'm doing is a little bit less interesting than what I had before. But also I was just kind of thinking, you know, like what content do I like to watch? I like to watch people sitting and talking here, yes, but I do like watching content where people hop on, where, you know, two people are debating or having some sort of conversation. So I do kind of want to sort of bring that content back. I also like watching videos where people are breaking down multiple bits of information and giving their takes rather than just like reacting to a specific video. So what I may do is I may try to find ways to incorporate that in the content that I make. However, with the Bro SMP taking up so much of my time, also with college football, watching college football on the weekends taking so much of my time, I don't have as much time to even do the streams I've done prep for. Like, this whole stream is actually mostly going to be a stream of me using pre-existing prep for other streams where I didn't even have time to use the stuff that I did. So the stuff that I studied. So those are some changes that I will be bringing to the streams. Also, if I have more time in the coming months, one thing I want to do is do more gaming content. So, you know, that should be fun. It's probably going to be like CS:GO stuff, like CS2. It's not CS:GO anymore. Because it's just been too long since I played a shooter. It's been like 3-4 months since I played a shooting game, which is like way too long. Like, I basically haven't played any shooting games since X Defiant died. That's how long it's been since I played any shooting games. So I really want to get back into that. You know, I miss gaming with the Car 3 guys. You know, I'd love to bring that back. So, you know, I'm constantly thinking about my content and how I can change the way that I make it and stuff. So just keep that in mind. I haven't heard anyone complain about the quality of my content, but that's something I've noticed. And to be fair, like, I don't really make the content for views or anything. Mostly it's just like I make content because I enjoy making content, and part of the process is looking at what you're making and being like, how can this be better? And that's something that I'm doing. So I'm keeping my eye on that. And for every one of you who's like stuck around, you know, Angry Canadian here in the chat, shout out to Angry Canadian. For the people who've stuck around during this downturn in quality, for the missed videos, I've had a few missed videos over the past few months. You know, because I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon. I've missed some uploads. I appreciate all of that. For those of you who are still waiting for me to upload the Bro SMP gaming segments on Newbie Gaming, I appreciate you guys waiting. Those will be getting uploaded. I just have to find some time to grab all the segments and post them. But yeah, you know, this is, my community is very small, but it's a good community. I'm glad I've cultivated it the way that I have, and you guys have been great for the most part. So appreciate each and every one of you. I'm getting new viewers as well with the Bro SMP stuff. The new people are dope as well. Zero Pro Start, Flutters, all those people, they're fun members of the community. So if you want to join the community, the link to the Discord servers on the screen. It's dscrd.ntwbeats.cc. It's a place you want to be. If you want to chat with me, you can send me suggestions of things to react to on stream. Which, by the way, that also increased the quality of the streams, I think, because it had me reacting to things I didn't normally react to. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that, you know, give a little address to my community, because I very rarely do that, and I really do appreciate you guys. So I figured I would just, you know, let you guys know in a more formal way like this. I can say something in the Discord server, but, you know, I think that Thanksgiving is the perfect time to have a public word of appreciation and thanks. Let me read these chat messages I missed. Very ironic that I missed a bunch of chat messages because I wanted to tell my community thank you. Let's see. The Angry Canadian said Canadians get Thanksgiving in October. Yes, I am aware of this. I did hear about this. The Angry Canadian said Mr. Pizza isn't a fan of me experimenting with AI. Yes, we actually talked about this in the most recent stream, which, by the way, is down. There was like some background noise and stuff. It was like late. Someone was having a conversation. I need to comb through the VOD, make sure that stuff was not included in there. Also, there was some other stuff in the stream. So I'll be making sure that anything that's not supposed to be in the VOD is in the VOD. It's like 6 hours, so it might take me some time to comb through it. But, you know, anything that's not in the VOD, you know, anything that's in the VOD that's not supposed to be there, I'll remove it and re-upload it. So that's what the deal is with that. So if you try to click the link, it's gonna say it's private. At least it should say it's private, because I did private it. Hold on, let me see here. The Canadian said you should talk about penny Oleskiak being banned for 2 years for doping. I don't know who that is. The Canadian says, my peppers have come. I thought you were growing your peppers, if I'm not mistaken. That's cool. All right. So we've got this crazy drama, the Streamer Awards drama. And by the way, I find it funny. Every 2 to 3 years, Cutie Cinderella is in drama because of how her events are being run. I remember there was her little camp thing where people were, there was this drama because she was feeding alcohol to an alcoholic, and she thought it would be fine for some reason, and it ended up being a problem. So, and now we have the Streamer Awards. Now this all got started, at least I first noticed it, when Clipped Season, I think is how you say this person's name, Clip Season, made this little zeet here. It said, Cutie Cinderella Streamer Awards had 0 nominations for Kick exclusive streamers. And this is something people noticed and people were sort of complaining about it. Now, to be fair, I don't watch a lot of Kick. The only Kick I watch is XQC and Asmongold. That's the only Kick I watch. There were some 100 Thieves. There were a couple 100 Thieves streamers who were doing a LAN party or something. I watched their streamathon or whatever. That was very fun. But other than that, I don't really watch Kick content, so I don't really know who was on Kick that is a Kick exclusive streamer who should be nominated. Aiden Ross, shouldn't be nominated. I don't think he's grown. Really, Neon. I don't think Neon's done much notable this year. Hold on. Is there anyone? Someone here said, "Why didn't y'all nominate them then?" Which is fair. Now, some people here are saying Cuffums. I've heard the word Cuffums getting thrown around a lot. I've never seen a clip of that dude in my life. I've got no idea who Cuffums is, but Cuffums is popular enough for people to mention him. So maybe Cuffums should have been nominated. I don't know. I don't even know what Cuffums should have been nominated for. But this is kind of interesting. Especially considering the whole Cutie Cinderella and Vanilla Ice Mice or whatever that person's name was drama, where basically Cutie Cinderella was saying she's going to continue to be friends with her family members because they're her family, and even though she disagrees with their views, she wants to be an example of someone on the other side of the aisle, and perhaps out of being loving to her family members, bring them over to where she's at politically. And she got a lot of hate for that because the X mob, the far left wingers on X, and those types of people who are chronically online, they almost treat politics like a cult, where it's if you're not on the same page with us on an inclusivity, then you're being excluded, which is pretty ironic because how the most inclusive people are actually the most exclusive. So it's whenever someone's oh, I'm actually pretty inclusive, yeah, I can tell because you're excluding so many people. But anyways, all that aside, there's politics involved, but at the end of the day, let's talk about what actually transpired. So this happened, people were upset. Now, Cutie Cinderella responded to the Streamer Awards in typical Cutie Cinderella fashion. She cried. I wish that she wouldn't cry. Is that a freaking Playboy hoodie? Oh my goodness. Well, that's right. Wait, wasn't she promoting an OF type website in her previous Streamer Award thing or whatever? It was a competitor. It's not the same. Fansly. So maybe this is also on brand, but I have to slow down this because I think the bozo who uploaded it in 3 times speed.
My whole team of clippers who had 24 hours to grab the clips.
She ain't no Ben Shapiro. She doesn't speak that quickly. Let me slow this down so we can hear this at human speed, and then I'll react to this. I haven't seen this in this full, in its entirety. I watched a clip of it and I'm no, I'm not sitting through, an Alvin and the Chipmunks version of Cutie Cinderella talking. But I couldn't find the original clip.
Team of clippers who had 24 hours to grab the clips did not know.
Good. I think this is about as close as that we're gonna get to the actual speed. So let's run it.
My whole team of clippers who had 24 hours to grab the clips did not know what all of Jason's relationships were in the past. I can't
Oh, this was another drama, by the way, where each nominee or each nominee, they get like a splash video or whatever of them. And so, there's someone whose job it is to go find clips of them and then include them in the video, make the little MP4 or whatever so that she can play it or put it on the website or whatever. Someone had grabbed a video of Jason with an ex-girlfriend and included that there. And it's like, it's kind of wild. You're uploading clips of someone from their previous relationship in the compilation. It's just kind of weird, especially if it's like the type of breakup where you don't want to be thinking about that person ever again. Which, like, so we break up with someone, you break up for a reason. You probably don't want to be as closely associated with that person as you used to be. So I think that Jason was upset. I can't remember. But anyways, there was backlash. She ended up firing the person or whatever. So they're not going to be editing clips for the Streamer Awards anymore. But yeah, that's what this bit is responding to, if you guys aren't familiar with that.
I'm sorry. I can't have an expert from every community come and give me the clips, because then you guys would know the nominations. Like, oh my God, I'm not getting fucking hate threads on fucking Jason's community posts. That's like his Twitter com shitting on me. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I know, I can't crash out, but it's just like, really? 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 Why are you explaining to us rather than talk to Jason? I have talked to Jason! Jason's not the one that's mad! It's you fucking freaks that are mad for him! Jesus Christ.
Wait, so hold on. If it's just a bunch of randos on the internet who are mad, why does that matter? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? If Jason doesn't care, Jason's opinion is the only one that should matter in this situation, right? If Jason doesn't care that the clips are old or whatever, then just like keep it pushing. Keep it push. It doesn't matter. You're placating to people who, honestly, in my opinion, don't really like you that much, right? These are people who, if they're turning on you because you used old clips in a compilation video, it's like, if these viewers are so sensitive, they're not really worth like, doing backflips in somersaults just to maintain their viewership or stay in their good graces. But this is my thing with Cutie Cinderella. I'm not, you can cultivate whatever community you want. I understand, if your goal is to be successful as a content creator, one of the strategies you can employ is to make your community as big as possible, right? And, in order to do that, you'll have to try to please as many people as possible. But that's just not possible, especially when you got a lot of people online with very specific and strong demands. Like, oh, you can't use old clips of Jason the Ween? Like, really? Like this is what we're doing right now. So when you're this is what that strategy leads to, where it's like, oh, grow your fan base, get as big as possible. It ends up in this place. It ends up in this position.
Like, genuinely.
Also, what mic is that? That's not an SM7B.
Okay.
So did she actually? So I saw part of the clip, but she cries here. But did she really cry over the Jason the Wing stuff? I thought she would be crying over the, blacklisting of kick streamers thing.
Thank you, Mac. Oh, it's just so frustrating. Oh my God. You picked one of my favorite pics of me with my eyes closed leaning against the wall. I believe that you were all trying to portray us at our best. Thank you. I just love puzzles. God, I'm doing my fucking best over here. And the store didn't even have Cheerios. I'm just so tired.
What? Dude, I kind of hate this, because it's like, one thing about being on the internet, especially when you're making a lot of content, you have a very strong online presence, is that you've got to accept the fact that you are going to get criticism. You're going to get criticism from people, and you have to be like, okay, I'm gonna get criticism and I can take it, right? But then you have some people who try to go on the internet, like Cutie Cinderella does this, who they try to go on the internet, have this career or whatever, and you try to placate to everyone, and then when they start getting, you know, criticism or backlash or whatever, they break down or they do whatever they can to make the person whose feelings got hurt, you know, feel better. It's like, no, because eventually what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up in a toxic relationship with your viewers, where your viewers will be like, oh, put your left hand in the air, and if you don't do it, then they will, you know, do a hate brigade on you, and then you'll be up here, you know, in your next stream doing an apology stream, crying with your hand like this for in the air for 30 minutes until it gets too sore and you got to put it back down, you know. So, you know, you have to accept the fact that there are some mean people on the internet. There's some people on the internet who are just not worth engaging with. Gonna tune those people out, ignore them, and do your best to not let them get to your head. And not everyone can do that, right? Not everyone can do that. And for them, you know, maybe you shouldn't have a career where you're, you know, very heavily online, right? It's like you're trying to be a celebrity, but also you're mad when people have something to say about you. Like, you can't, that's something you can't control, and it's something that comes with the job, right? So, you know, I'm not going to hate on Cutie Cinderella for crying at all, because, you know, humans have a full spectrum of emotions. She should be allowed to, you know, have her feelings as she does. But, you know, for her to be upset about people, you know, having things to say about her, it's one thing if it hurts her feelings, right? If it hurts her feelings, that's cool, right? It totally makes sense. You know, it's natural for people to have hurt feelings. But if she is mad that those people are allowed to say what they want to say, or if she is like somehow feels like surprised or wronged by things that random people on the internet are saying, which by the way is doing nothing to her, right? These people who are criticizing her over this old clip probably are not her viewers, right? So it's not like she's gonna lose subs over this. Like, oh, I'm unsubbing from Cutie Cinderella because she used an old Jason the Ween clip. Like, first of all, it'd be such a lame thing to do. Second of all, I don't really think anyone is doing that. So, like, this is just unfortunate. I would like to see the people online who are trying to build online presences, trying to be e-celebs, actually be able to sort of roll with the punches and you know, take what's coming to them with some I don't know if sobriety's word. Maybe the correct word would be maturity, right? Rather than, like, you know, it's a shame that, you know, they brought her down to this point, but at the same time, this is what you get when you're on the internet, and this is just, you know, what happens. You get criticism, and everyone makes mistakes. So eventually, there will be moments where people will pounce on you for your mistakes, especially if you have more viewers. Like, bro, I'm just gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it 100. You shouldn't be on the internet if you're this sensitive. I mean, that's just my opinion. You shouldn't be on the internet if you're this sensitive. If when like 1,000 people, and you're popular too, right? You're popular. You're quite a popular streamer. You're one of the biggest female content creators on the internet. Well, with OF and other sites, let's ignore them. You're one of the biggest female streamers on the internet, right? When it comes to mainstream websites like Kick, YouTube, Twitch, etc. You're one of the biggest female content creators. When like a few hundred or a few dozen or whatever people start criticizing you online, and this is your default response, you know, either you're going to be driven away from streaming, or you're just going to have a very, very miserable career, because this is going to be what you're doing half the time, on camera or not, right? And I don't want that for anyone. I don't want people to be in a career that makes them cry, you know, 50% of their waking hours. That's no fun. That's no good. And you should be in a career that you enjoy. Does it look like she's enjoying her career right now? No, no, not really.
Okay. Now we're gonna do our real job, which is play fucking video games for a living. Because the one I'm getting off the ship for isn't even my fucking job.
I mean, doesn't the Streamer Awards pull in a lot of sponsors and companies and things and give her a lot of revenue. So it's one of her gigs, right? It's maybe not her main job, but it's one of her gigs.
God, I'm so tired. I just want to play Dispatch so bad, and I haven't had any time because I'm working on this stupid fucking award show. I'm so tired of crying. I'm 30, by the way.
She should not be denigrating the Streamer Awards, by the way. It's a very well done award show. You can put aside, you know, people may complain about the nominees or whatever, but I think for a streamer to put on a production of this quality, I think is admirable. Right, and I'll get to that a little bit later. I think that she does deserve some kudos and credit for how she's run the Streamer Awards, even if it's only just from a production standpoint.
Oh my god! Thanks for the raid. I'm sorry. It's so embarrassing. It's been a long day.
Wait, no, and I'm not laughing at her for crying, but this is the worst time to get rated. Like, I know I made jokes earlier, but she doesn't really cry on stream that often. Like, the one time that she cries on stream this year, she's getting rated. It's like, it's got to be the worst.
And all I wanted was Cheerios. But all I got was paste salsa, and paste salsa isn't even my favorite salsa. It's just what I thought would go nice with Cheerios. And I didn't even get the Cheerios.
I do not know the drama and lore behind the Cheerios, to be honest. I don't know if there are any comments on this. This was a re-upload of something I was put on like Reddit or something. We got 25 views. Not really much going on there at all. But yeah, so that's not where everything ended, as I'm sure a lot of you guys who are more in the know are aware of. There was more that happened. Ludwig decided to chime in, give us 2 cents, you know, white knight for his queen, which is completely understandable. It's natural. Everyone who's in a relationship wants to defend their significant other if they like them. So Ludwig says, every year I see firsthand how much time, effort, and passion Cutie devotes to the Streamer Awards. And every year, she gets hate from every corner of the internet that feels they deserve more. I know it's not possible to please everyone, but if you're like me and inspired by the work she puts in and things, it makes streaming a better place. Don't be afraid to be more vocal about it. And I think, you know, he sort of has some points. There is a really big problem on the internet where it's the negative voices that are the most vocal, right? No, very few people are going online saying, oh, the Streamer Awards is awesome, even though for the most part the Streamer Awards is, you know, a very, very fun it's a very, very fun event for fans of streaming to watch. It's an extremely well done production. I think that even if you're just gonna go by the production value, it is quite impressive. So, you know, and it also gives people who aren't like WNL fans, you know, something to look forward to. The WNL is killing it right now. They have some really good subathons. Like, you know, there's the Phase subathon that was awesome. There was the Kai Cenat, I believe, did a subathon. Aisha Speed did several streams all across the country that were extremely long. But if you're not sort of into like that sort of like energetic, high energy type of streaming content, and maybe you're not as much into like the gaming type of content either, like I know 100 Thieves did a subathon. And then like this, especially if you're like a fan of like the old like OTK group, which is basically all broken up now, but if you're fans of those people, this really gives you something to look forward to every single year. And it's really cool that she's been able to keep this going for a full week. No, not full week, every single year, over and over again. Yeah, and it's going down here. You know, he did get some hate. Says turn the brights down, White Knight. You know, he is being a bit back to the. It's ridiculous. you know, there've been a lot of accusations of various streamer girlfriends and boyfriends cheating. I've never heard of one about Cutie cheating on Ludwig. So extremely unwarranted here. Extremely unwarranted. There's nothing bad. I think I actually said this. There's nothing bad about defending your significant other, right? Now, Jason the Ween responded, and this was his response here.
She's going through a lot, man. And shout out to Cutie. She called me.
Now, I will say, I do wonder, I actually didn't hear this part where she said she's going through a lot. Maybe there's something personal going on in Cutie Cinderella's life that she's not disclosing, which is making things difficult for her, which is normal, right? You know, there's always the thing where it's like, you know, you start crying over something and it's actually something else. It's just a lot of emotional buildup that just over time you gotta, maybe not let loose, but you've got to, express your emotions. Eventually they boil and come to the surface. So maybe something else is going on personally with Cutie Cinderella. It's not your business to know. And that's why she was crying. That's extremely fair.
She's going through a lot, man. And shout out to Cutie. She called me off stream after that whole clip shit. It was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that whole situation. My clip she didn't get the clip, obviously, bro. She's mad busy. I knew that too, but initially I just got mad, bro, because that was crazy. That was crazy. I told her it was crazy. But she called me, apologized, and was like, yeah, the guy that got the clip, I fired him. He thought that girl in the first clip was one of your big collabs. Vinny, they ordered 50 gifted. One of the Haas sisters.
I don't know who the Haas sisters are.
She's
but yeah,
through a lot,
then Cutie
man.
Cinderella did a little bit of clarification here. It says, no one lost a real job. Would just like to make that clear. My clip grabbers get paid just for the few hours it takes to grab the clips the night before. No one lost their livelihood. They just won't work on it next year. That is fired. The double speak that Cutie Cinderella does is kind of crazy. Like, maybe if she's not cut out for stream, maybe she should work in PR, because this is bro, I've been on some merry-go-rounds that have left me far less dizzy. That's some crazy spin that she put on this thing. But I went and had some thoughts. I jotted some thoughts down, which, I've been doing a little bit more of because, I haven't had as much time to stream, and I want to express my thoughts somewhere. So I made this quote of what Ludwig posted, and so this is kind of what I said. This is my summarized thoughts. It says, look, I think she puts together some of the best produced streamer events every year. In fact, bigger streamers should actually be consulting her for their own events. Cutie sets an expectation of everything working smoothly and embarrasses other events sometimes, which is true. We have streamers who, I think it's not exaggeration to say, are twice as big as Cutie Cinderella or more. Particularly, specifically, I'm thinking of Kai Cenat and iShowSpeed, who put on these massive productions, and then very basic stuff like doesn't work. Like mics just die as soon as the stream starts. Cameras glitch out. The stream is not set up properly. Whole lot of stuff breaks down in these streams a lot of times, more so in the actual speed than Kai Cenat, because I think Kai Cenat sort of figured some stuff out. But I do think that Cutie Cinderella does put the other streamers to shame when it comes to the smoothness of her events. Now, that's not all that there is to say about this. You can't just deflect by saying like, oh, people are mad about the nominations. Oh, but she puts on a good show though. Oh, her production value is good. Like, you have to actually engage with what's being talked about. So that's what I did here. So that said, some of the criticisms the 2025 Streamer Awards are getting are valid, right? Where it's like, hey, you've got these streamers who are on alternate platforms, who are on Kick. People are like, oh, what about the Rumble streamers? I don't think that Nick Fuentes should be getting a Rising Star award, for example. Like, no, like there's some platforms where it's like, maybe we don't count that viewership. And also a lot of them are heavily political, right? So like, it'd feel weird to see like Steven Crowder or Tim Pool getting some sort of award during an event like this. But I mean, I do think it's fair to be like, hey, Kick exclusive streamers should be considered for this. But then there's B. Part of being on the internet is being able to take hate and criticism, which is true, right? And I think I explained this, to to my satisfaction earlier on in this video. Now, I also did a little quote of this as well, which is the whole Jason the Ween thing, where I said this, and she was and Jason the Ween. Part of what he was saying was that like Houston Rose was a great person, right? She reached out to me privately, handled it professionally. It's just, you know, being not just a good content creator, but a professional content creator. And I don't know if they're friends, but this is how I would expect friends to interact with each other. My quote was, the narrative surrounding Cutie Cinderella defenders is a little weird. Cutie Cinderella seems like a genuinely good and nice person. This doesn't mean every decision she makes is good. The Streamer Awards allegedly blacklisting certain streamers doesn't mean Cutie Cinderella is bad and mean. Right. There are people making it out to be that Cutie Cinderella must be this bad person just because she's blacklisting streamers allegedly, or certain categories of streamers like political streamers or kick streamers or whatever. Those may be bad decisions, but that doesn't mean that she is a bad content creator or a bad friend or whatever. So I think people are going a little bit too hard on her for that. You can just be like, I don't like this decision, and then just keep it pushing rather than really dogging on her. That's really not fair. But, you know, of course, we got to take a look at what XQC and Asmongold had to say in response to all this. You know, just some samplings of what they had to say following this information.
Best breakout streamer. Streamer experienced an explosive growth in the past years, establishing themselves among the top streamers and one of the most talked about names in streaming here. Adapt, probably. Thoughts? DJ did pretty good. DJ did pretty good. You feel me? Who's Vanilla Mace? I feel like this take is why nobody fucks with me. I'm not gonna take it, and this is why I have no friends. Okay, guys, I'm gonna say what I actually think. This person, let's give it a buck, is not even close to being on the scale of this category.
That's true. You know, the only reason why I know who Vanilla Mace is because she basically got Cutie Cinderella dog piled with hate. Well, it wasn't really her fault. I think it was her viewer. It was the reviewers mostly who were mad at Cutie Cinderella, right? Not Cutie Cinderella fans. But like that whole situation was in a Vanilla Mace stream. Her response to that situation also wasn't that good. That's the only reason I know who Vanilla Mace is. I know who Rakai is. I actually don't know who Gwendolyn Oritz is. I don't know who that is. But I know who Rakai is. I know who Adapt is. I know who DDG is. DDG, you know, I think he didn't get the most viewership out of all these people, but I do think that DDG actually is probably a strong contender for winning here just because of, you know, how much media coverage and press he's gotten. Now, some of that's not good, right? I think that there's like some allegations of things that he's done in his relationships that were untoward, to put it charitably. But, you know, I think that, you know, nonetheless, he has, you know, been building a good career for himself, and he's grown a lot this year.
She had some drama with her, so she probably thought, yo, I'm gonna put her on this category, and maybe the bridge will rebuild and we'll have a collab down the line. I'm not gonna look like a fuck ass. And boom, there she is. That's just kind of how it goes. But no problem with that. It's her event, right? I mean, she can do whatever she wants with that.
Yeah, that's true.
She runs the event. She funds it, all that. So,
I mean, these streamers are running an event. You know, the idea that it's going to be neutral, like, of course it's not going to be neutral. There have been jokes about this all the time with Ludwig winning awards, right? It's like, we know what she did to win that award. Like, or we know what he did to win that award. Like, yeah.
Oh, but I mean, that's how I see it.
I mean, and that's fair. It's a fair take. And then there's this other clip here where he responded to Asmongold's take on this whole situation.
You're lying. Everybody knows you're lying. If you are not lying,
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's react to this because I think he talks about it here, and then we'll react to XQC's response to this later. I think where does he respond?
But yeah, the Steam thing, I am extremely. Hassan bans a 33-month subscriber and tells him to die for commenting on his workout frequency.
What?
You got to get some workouts in, man. You eat more than Austin peas. Dude, I'm literally all right. First of all, dude, never do this. Okay, never do this. Just never do that. Okay, fucking die. You're gonna do that. Okay,
Bro, it's so easy to get banned from like the Hassan chat. I got banned from the Hassan chat years ago because he was reacting to this is when I first heard of him. I was like, oh, they're political streamers. That's cool. They've got their own Rush Limbaugh, whatever. So I was reacting to, I was watching one of his streams, and he was reacting to some like Gravel Institute video about like affirmative action or something, and I like said something negatively about like affirmative action or whatever, and like I don't know if you could tell by my complexion, but you know, I am somewhat colored, so. So like, I was like, oh, I can make this comment. Nope. Insta ban. Never responded. I was like, yo, dude, I'm black. I promise I won't talk about affirmative action anymore or whatever. And you know, that appeal got rejected. You can't spam appeals on Twitch, unfortunately. You know, boo-hoo, right? You know, it's so bad I got banned from the Hasanabi chat. It's really more of a badge of honor than anything else. But it's just so easy to get banned from his chat.
just never do that. Okay, fucking die. You're gonna do that. Okay, that's number one.
By the way, I will say I've noticed a whole lot of people online making content who are saying like, oh, you should die or whatever. I know they're joking in many of them. These are like meme reels I'm seeing on Instagram, but I think people are getting a little too comfortable saying that. Like, we shouldn't be throwing that type of language around.
Suck my fucking cock.
Oh my god.
Okay, perish. Perish.
And this is why he's mad. A few days ago we posted the crash out. Now comes the roach out.
Let's watch it.
Best just chatting. You already know what I'm gonna put there. Come on, chat. You already know. Nominate me.
You didn't get nominated for anything? Dog, it's voting. You didn't vote, which I don't even think it's that. I'm gonna be honest. I think we have a pretty big community. I'm certain that we did show up, but it is what it is. You know, we've been...
Wait, oh, he got the Gamer of Award, the Gamer of the Year award. Why is there Gamer of the Year award rather than the Just Chatting Streamer of the Year or whatever? He should be actually getting the Just Chatting award and not this one. Like, I've never heard anyone say, oh, hey guys, did you see the Hasanabi gaming stream last night? Like, no, there's literally no one saying that. No one.
No.
You're right. You're completely right. And you know you're right. But man, are you roaching out on her after she went to bat for you with that dog thing?
I have been to Hassan.
Well, I mean, yeah, there was the whole, you know, you can't, when you zap your dog, I feel like it's not brand friendly, right? Unless you're like, you have an electric fence company as their sponsor.
Dog thing.
I have been to Hassan's house every day for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I have never seen the dog get shocked.
You didn't promo in us? Oh, shut up. Shut up.
See,
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's 100% cope.
He's actually mad that he didn't get nominated.
Then 99.9% of all of the other fucking...
Even Hassan is calling it. You know this shit was rigged. I think that Hassan probably was nominated once or twice, and I think that they took him off the list because he's controversial.
Who cares? I don't care about the streamer awards. I don't care about the streamer awards.
That's actually really surprising that he would roach out on them like that. God damn, he really wanted to be on there. Again, if she would just come out and say, we didn't give some people nominations because the sponsors wouldn't like it, I would be like, okay, all right, reasonable. But you want to go and say it's fan voted and then insult and insinuate that the people that didn't get nominated are view botters.
You do have to log in with a Twitch account and you have to fill it out, which I know some people's viewers don't have.
She's trying to insinuate that they're view botting. If you told me that Hassan would team up with Asmon and XQC to accuse QB
there's also another factor of you've got streamers who are way more popular on YouTube than they are on Twitch. Right, so there's that factor as well. So in those instances, yeah, you probably have a lot of people who, you know, they love their content, but they don't have a Twitch account. I remember actually in college talking to people about the streamers I watched, and I was like, oh, did you see this video this person posted? And then they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. And I was like, oh yeah, I was watching that stream. They're like, they stream? You know, so very different worlds there, the YouTube world and the streaming world. As much as YouTube gaming has tried to make you know, streaming a thing, and you know, I'm actually on board with that. I'm streaming on YouTube right now. It just hasn't really taken off, and so the biggest streamers are big on YouTube as well as on Twitch, and there might be significant amount of people who are fans of the content creator who's contributed views to them having big videos, which then helps them continue to be popular. But they're just not on the Twitch side of things at all.
Insinuate that they're view botting. If you told me that Hassan would team up with Asmon and XQC to accuse Cutie of rigging the nominations, I would have never believed you. Watching this fake streamer group implode is so fucking satisfying. It's not as satisfying as covering it every single day. You will never be happier than me watching it happen.
Fucking God, I hate the left. I hate liberalism. I hate everything that's going on every single day. I hate my life. I hate streaming. I hate socialism. I hate every single person who thinks that the peak of activism should be holier thou.
It's been a bad year for Hassan Piker, and if it couldn't get any worse, you know, he was just recently in China. He had to go to China, so rough. But anyways, this is XQC's reaction to Asmongold's coverage of this.
You know you're lying. Everybody knows you're lying. If you are not lying, I think this is what my assertion is. I think that you have exercised editorial control and you have picked the nominees not completely from fan voting, but from your own opinions and to keep the show brand friendly. I think that the priority for the show is to make sure that the show gets as many viewers as possible.
Guys, you need to remember something, okay? MTV Awards, BET Awards, all of that, right? They hated Eminem, right? Because of kind of who he was and what he was doing and what he was saying at the time. The reality is that he still got nominated, still won. And the show still got promoted and still got sponsors and was still running because it was based off of merits. And yes, it's partially the people.
Well, the thing is, I think the music awards were a lot more important. What are they? The Grammys? I think the Grammys are a lot more important. The Stellar Awards as well. There are other awards. I think the Grammy Awards are a lot more important than streamer awards. Like, what the thing about, you know, winning a Grammy is that, like, that opens you up to opportunities in the future where, you know, some venue might not have heard of you, but they look you up and see that you've won like 3 Grammys. It's like, okay, we'll let you hear. We'll let you perform, right? You're not going to see anything equivalent in the streamer world where it's like, oh, we don't know if we're going to let you have this IRL event in a public space. Oh, you've won 3 consecutive streamer awards for Rising Star? Now we're going to let you in. Like, that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Also, the council said, yeah, this guy should be at least on, and people vote, and it's objective win. It is what it is.
And maintains as many sponsors as possible. I think that's what happened. And I am willing to bet $100,000 on it. Invite me next year to watch the voting, and if the people that get voted on actually are the ones that get nominated, I will donate $100,000 to the charity.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Usually these votes, I could be wrong about this, it's usually about 80%. So it's not, I can't say usually because it's usually 80, 20, 70, 30 council to people. But that's when it comes down to people that win though. But the nominations though are usually pretty freeform. Like they usually they choose, the council will usually kind of choose, and I think you could do that off of the merits. I mean, I did it last time. I think I was pretty
of your
objective.
choice.
The council would be people in the industry that watch a lot of streams, people that consume this type of content, and they get together. Let's say 20 people. 30. Usually, it's, you know, when you watch some of the big awards. You know, look at this one now, right? FAQ, right? FAQ. You go to FAQ.
This is the Game Awards.
You go to FAQ, which is right here, right? I mean, of course, the FAQ is right here.
I didn't
fuck this website.
Let's try again.
No. So. Usually it's game. Let's say in gaming, for a game to be a game of the year, whatever, the council would be all game review websites, journalists, investigators, all the people that are part of the industry that generally play a lot of games. These will form the council together. And when these guys say, "Oh, guys, I think this should be nominated," whatever, yeah, it's gonna be partially some people, but it shouldn't trump all of the fan votes, but it should also be only that. You know what I mean? Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that take. Now, there's more to the story, because she actually admitted to this ratio in that the nominees are not 100% determined by fan votes.
And yeah, I don't know why this is always a thing that people are confused about every year, because it's been on the same it's been on the website every single year, like consistently. It is 70% fan vote, 30% bot. Or 30%, oh great, 30% panel. Someone in Darkrow in chat typed, "I'm a bot," and then I said that. Oh my god, great. Here we go. God damn it. Oh god. Darkrow in chat typed, "I'm a bot," right as I said that. That's annoying. If someone believes that, that's on them. I don't know what to tell you. It is 30% fan vote. No, 70% fan vote, 30% panel.
Yeah. And so she admits that it's not 100% determined by the fan vote. Honestly, I think just be transparent, right? About, you know, the events that you're doing. Be like, hey, you know, we reserve the right to say, you know, this person's a brand risk. You're not going to get nominated for these awards, or you're not going to be invited. I mean, you're just being real. You can't be mad about that, right? I mean, you might be mad about the decision, but at the end of the day, she's doing what she can to preserve the event. And, you know, one of those things is inevitably going to be placating your sponsors who allow the event to happen. So it's just normal. She's running it how she wants to, which is completely fine. I see the way that, you know, sort of hate campaigns or drama, whatever, affects Cutie Cinderella. And it just has me thinking, you should not be trying to have a professional career on the internet when online hate and criticism makes you react this emotionally, right? You find something else to do. I don't know, bake cakes for other people. I don't know. Work in HR. I think that she is talented. There are other things that she could do. Her event streamer awards run pretty well. Maybe she should have taken over Ludwig's company and helped that kept that from running into the ground, right? I think that she probably could have kept things afloat. I think that she has the wherewithal and understanding and know-how and intellect to pull that off. So very unfortunate that this affected her this way. But at the end of the day, like, what do you expect? You're on the internet. You're gonna get hate. It might be undeserved, but that's just part of the job. The Canadian said she's an Olympic swimmer. Not sure who you're talking about exactly. Is the Olympic swimmer. All right, I'm just gonna pull this up here. Because we do have some relatively big stories coming up that I want to get into. So just a few things, you know, nothing too crazy.
Today we're talking about the
hold on, yeah, we've got
today we're talking about the 20
Voidzilla video. I'm gonna try to react to that.
Breaking up.
Let's see.
Breaking up. Turns out.
And there was one more thing I wanted to react to. Does AP News have an article about this story? I want to see if AP News is covering this. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so there was this story. I really want to react to this. I really want to talk about this before I get to other stories. I think that this is a major story. I talked about this briefly in a Minecraft stream. I didn't have the time to cover this properly. Let me see. I didn't have the time to do the normal type of content that I would do, but it was important enough that I talked about it on my stream. Let me just look this up real quick. Because there was this video that they released. Oh yeah, here we go. So a bunch of Democrats came together, and it's such a boneheaded decision. I don't know why they decided to do this. but they went and made this video telling members of the government to turn against the president of the United States.
Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans.
Wait, hold on. Is this from a larger video? Oh, wait, they reference. Okay, hold on. We got to take a look at that.
Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Okay, hold on. Let's set this wrong. Let's set this wrong.
Directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day.
Because one thing that's very interesting is, you know, at least Slotkin said, "Oh, we don't think that Trump is issuing illegal orders." So I wonder if that video will add additional context.
Keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Okay. So what are they saying in this video? Like, actually, I watched the video. I watched a very, at a very surface level, with a very surface level thing. Like, I was just like watching it very passively. They are actually saying that Donald Trump is threatening the Constitution and weaponizing the government to go after American citizens unjustly. Two false accusations, by the way. Neither of these things are happening, I don't think. But that's a lot stronger than kind of how the media portrayed it, because they were just like, oh, all they said was don't follow illegal orders. That's not true. That's not true. I do think that this might actually dip into seditious territory.
American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army, or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution, and who we are as Americans. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Nah, bro. Girl really thought she ate with that one. Let's see what the comments were. Because, like, very clearly, they're telling members of the government to oppose Donald Trump. Now, they're very vague to give themselves plausible deniability, and I think it worked. I think they did give themselves an plausible deniability here. But, I mean, they use some inflammatory language here, right? Saying that Donald Trump is, weaponizing the government to go after American citizens unjustly, to target them, and secondarily saying that Donald Trump is threatening the Constitution, right? Which goes hand in hand with them saying that members of the military should not be following illegal orders. Now, let's see what the comment says. These are all from Democrats. So it says here, I'd like to see this as an ad running regularly on TV and online. Okay. That's from Paddle the Waters 4794. This is from Rosie Future. Says, I was following orders will not keep you out of jail. Mr. McDraw says, we are in sad times with such a message is necessary. Oh, yes, it's very necessary. So necessary. So hold on. So I'm going to read some of these replies here. Just because, it's one thing to be like, oh, they're not inciting people to go against the government and be seditious. But, maybe we should look at what the people who are on their side, who are consuming this content, have to say in response. Jonathan Pankey 7739 says, that's exactly my thought. Also, seeing PSA about your rights when it comes to ICE raids also deeply saddens me. We're living in messed up times with PSAs and videos like these are needed. Right. So this person thinks that Trump either is now or is imminently issuing illegal orders. This is from Ingeford 175. This message has been in my annual training for the last 20 plus years, in with stuff like the Hatch Act and other things we need to make sure stays fresh in the mind. It is scary that this is controversial. This is from Auto Hagiographer 23, saying PSA is warning us against our own government and reminding service people of their rights and obligations under the UCMJ are being called seditious. What is shameful and disgraceful is that they are needed. That's not all that was being said here. So either you watched the video very quickly, didn't watch the whole thing, or you're just being disingenuous there. So yeah, very clearly, I think these people are, sort of on board with what they're saying. Now, this was linked. When you have a reel, or I know on IG if you have a reel, on YouTube also if you have a YouTube short, you can link to another video. This link to this video by Alyssa Slotkin, and we don't have the time to get into this, but it's called Senator Slotkin Delivers Speech on Trump's Authoritarian Playbook. And look at the description of this video. It says, I believe that Trump is ready to bring the full weight of the government against Americans he perceives as enemies. Why? Because he has one goal, making sure he and his ilk never have to give up power. Watch my speak on President Trump's authoritarian playbook. So even more, sort of inflammatory, maybe libelous, and certainly false accusations and language here from Alyssa Slotkin, but this doesn't do her any favors. Now, maybe the people who are asking her, hey, maybe you're being seditious here, responding saying, oh, y'all are being seditious, were aware of this context. I was not aware of this context. With this context, it does make it seem like she is being seditious because she is trying to lay down the groundwork to justify opposing Donald Trump, even when they are issuing things that are not worth opposing. Right? So, this just does not do her any favors. But let's go to this because we have a new update. We have a new update on this story. It says FBI seeks interviews with Democrats who urge U.S. troops to defy illegal orders. This is the proper response to this, by the way. This is how this should have been handled, because the initial response was actually, let me see. Yeah, so the initial response was, this very extremely emotional response. And it doesn't look like there are any links to the Truth Post, actually. But Trump basically, wigged out, ran around like a chicken with no head, and accused them of being seditious, said that, the penalty for sedition is death. By the way, it's very funny that these Democrats can make a video saying you have the right to refuse illegal orders, and then sort of the mainstream, people on social media and people in the media will say, and also people in the press will say, oh, they weren't being seditious. They weren't saying that they should oppose Trump's lawful orders. But then when Trump runs around saying, oh, they're being seditious, and the penalty for sedition is death, then all of a sudden, his claims can be taken to the farthest conclusion, but the Democrats' claims get taken to the most conservative conclusion possible. I think it's a little bit unfair, but I do think that both statements are troubling. It is troubling that Donald Trump is running his mouth on Truth Social, saying, death, this is sedition. Is very extremely inflammatory language, and we've talked about this in the previous stream as well. You just can't have the president of the United States running around saying my political enemies should be killed, even if theoretically, right, yes, I think it's very possible that Slotkin could have been engaging in sedition here, and it's also very possible that the just penalty for her crime is death, but I'm not sure that the only possible punishment for sedition is execution. Like, maybe she can be sentenced to jail for a long time. I don't know. Just because she's guilty doesn't mean I'm going to champion necessarily what happens to her, or I'm even going to gloat that it might happen or that it should happen, right? But yeah, so but I think this is the appropriate response, right? To investigate. So what if I was Trump? What would have been like is like, well, first of all, I would have reached out to them directly initially first, without going to the press and being like, hey, just so you know, like, this is going to inflame people. You're going to also have probably some maybe misguided or brainwashed people in the military who are basically viewing this as a green light to go and disobey legal orders. Are you concerned about that? What was your point in making this? Why are you releasing this now? Is there any reason why you think I'm about to initiate or issue illegal orders? Stuff like that. That is kind of what the initial response should have been. And then if Trump can't convince her to take the video down, or issue like a public statement of clarification, then the appropriate response is to have this prosecuted. This is what should have happened, right? Not Trump mouthing off. Shouldn't have been mouthing off on Truth Social. And so like there's this whole article. I don't really have time to get into it. I wish I had time to read the whole article. But I think finally we're kind of back on track with how this situation should have been handled. And it's actually kind of, unfortunate. I love that Democrats are getting backlash for this video, as they should have been. But Trump should have gotten backlash too for saying that these people should have been killed. I think it's a shame the stranglehold that Donald Trump has in the Republican Party, where he's sort of immune from criticism from the biggest figures. It's not great. It sort of leans into the whole like MAGA's a cult thing. I wouldn't believe that MAGA is a cult if people felt free to criticize him when he does something wrong like this. I think this was wrong. But because they don't feel like it, I have no choice but to believe that it's a cult, right? Because you're doing whatever it takes to please Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if it goes against your own personal political principles. You must follow the leader. I am not a fan of that. I am not happy with anyone in this situation except for the federal institutions that are prosecuting or looking into these Democrats who made this video. Extremely unacceptable behavior from everyone involved for the most part. This is just a race to the bottom in terms of civility in American politics that I wish that we had never seen at this point. But unfortunately, it just looks like that's what happened. Maybe it was inevitable. Maybe it was inevitable. But I'm still disappointed and, a little bit miffed that we are actually seeing, us get to this level of not civility, it's incivility. All right. So running low on time, so we only got one more video that I have time to react to. I've got other stuff to cover, which I will cover later on as well, maybe in a future stream. Got a whole backlog of research stories, so I might use the holiday times to run through those and also talk about more fun topics. We'll see. But there was this massive story where Marjorie Taylor Greene, she lost support from Donald Trump. They had a big falling out publicly. And then she decided to resign. I don't have the article pulled up here, but Marjorie Taylor Greene then decided to resign. Now, I always wanted to react to this because I was very surprised that Marjorie Taylor Greene did the 180 that she did going against Donald Trump, because of all of like the cult-like MAGA people, Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the biggest ones. I was like, look at her. Like, is she like trying to cheat on her husband again, or like what's going on here? Remember in the whole Mike Johnson situation, she was one of the biggest people going to bat for Mike Johnson, and that's what really clicked for me, that she was like a pro-Trump cultist, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is kind of on the farther right side of the Republican Party spectrum, and those people were really against Mike Johnson because he kind of, it's like a more moderate conservative record, not particularly strong on being fiscally conservative and all that. So when I saw that she started supporting him because Donald Trump was telling her, and I know that this was a fact because there are literal pictures of Marjorie Taylor Greene literally with Donald Trump on the phone, on speaker, and handing it to other members of Congress, being like, hey, listen to Trump. Trump is telling you to vote for this person. I'm not even joking. Like, there are high resolution images where if you zoom in, you literally see DJT. Oh, actually, let me see if I can find this. This is actually wild to me. Like, this is just like the most brazen case of like cultish sycophancy that I've like seen in modern politics. Hold on, let me pull this up. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Mike Johnson, phone. Let me see. Trump. Yeah, here it is. This to me is like one of like the great images of American politics. This is courtesy of what the heck? Okay, here we go. This is courtesy of CNN here. Okay, not DJT, but DT. See, literally on the phone with Donald Trump saying, hey, listen to Donald Trump and do whatever he says to do. I think this was what, like a year, 2 years ago? Like, this wasn't even that long ago. A little over a year ago. So, massive 180. But let's hear her explain herself.
Breaking up turns out not so hard to do. President Trump has declared he is officially pulling his endorsement of MAGA firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene. The Georgia Congresswoman has been demanding the release of the Epstein files and has criticized the president for spending too much time abroad. The president, well, has apparently heard enough, posting on Truth Social overnight that all wacky Marjorie Taylor Greene does is complain, complain, complain.
I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy. Already, I have people calling me. They want to challenge her to a race in her district in Georgia. And, you know, that's too bad. She's lost a wonderful conservative reputation. But when she says, don't go overseas, if I didn't go overseas, we might be in a war right now with China.
Meanwhile, President Trump is also upset with Congressman Thomas Massie, who also wants the Epstein files released. A Trump-aligned super PAC is spending $1 million on ads targeting the Kentucky Republican.
Which is a shame, because I think that I love there's nothing more that gives me more respect when I'm looking at either a politician or a pundit than when you criticize both the left and the right. Because the left and the right, they get things right, but they also get things wrong sometimes. And so if you're on the right, you're willing to criticize the right, you are a rock star in my book. And I'm seeing Thomas Massie doing this, and particularly on things where he's a libertarian, right? So on things that threaten conservative fiscal ways of governance, right? So for example, opposing bloated spending bills, right? Saying let's release the Epstein files to expose people who were abusing minors and engaging in forms of slavery, essentially, right? Which is, I think, is what's alleged that was happening on Epstein's island. So, like, there's no point that Thomas Massie has opposed Donald Trump on where I disagree with him. He's been extremely principled, and being a conservative means you will be going against Donald Trump at some points, because I don't know that Donald Trump is a true conservative, right? What is Donald Trump a conservative on? You know, other than like LGBT stuff, like he's not pro-life. He's not what is it? He doesn't support fiscal responsibility of the government. He doesn't support small government. He's a big government dude. He supports he supports intervention into to manipulate prices of healthcare. And I understand, you know, it does make people's lives better, but there's a difference between what is conservative and what you do. It doesn't compute. It doesn't compute. It's not conservative to meet up with Pfizer and say, hey, lower your drug prices, and they're like, okay. Right? Because that's not, I don't know how that connects with the free market. By the way, he doesn't even support free markets because he supports tariffs. So he's not a free trade guy. He's a fair trade guy. Remember that whole line in his first term. Well, he's gone even more gung-ho on that line. So all the stuff that Thomas Massie has opposed Donald Trump for is an inevitability for everyone who is a principled conservative and libertarian. Like gun rights, right? Trump does not fully support the Second Amendment either. There are so many things where Donald Trump is not a true conservative that Thomas Massey has criticized Trump for day in and day out. These are things that Donald Trump deserves criticism for. Donald Trump, unfortunately, mistakes criticism with being an enemy, and that's not true. You can be an ally of Trump and still oppose the things that he does that are wrong or unprincipled or unconservative. Trump doesn't get that, unfortunately. So that's why he's getting hate for Thomas Massey. Now, meanwhile, I'm over here sitting here like, yes, like in my head, every time Trump goes against Thomas Massey stock rises up in my mind. I want Thomas Massey to run for president. Right now, I'm a Thomas Massey 2028 dude. Okay. I'm a Thomas Massey 2028 dude. I want this man to be president someday. But of course, like all the people who have wanted to be president someday, he'll never become president. Ted Cruz never became president. Vivek Ramaswamy never became president. Josh Hawley never even tried running for president. So I don't have high hopes that he's ever going to be president of the United States, but I would love to see him run so I have the opportunity to support him.
Massey says his constituents understand his position.
When they're protecting pedophiles, when they are blowing our budget, when they are starting wars overseas, I'm sorry, I can't go along with that. And back home, people agree with me. They understand, even the most ardent Trump supporters understand.
And President Trump has now ordered the Justice Department to investigate.
By the way, I just want to add one more thing. I just want to glaze Thomas Massey one more time before we move on. Thomas Massey has also been a class act in, sort of how he's handled the criticism from Donald Trump. Donald Trump has made Thomas Massey out to be, his mortal enemy and his arch nemesis. But Thomas Massey has not spoken to Donald Trump in the same way. That is classy, and that's how you handle undue and unfair criticism. Imagine if Donald Trump responded to all of the hate, the unwarranted hate and criticism, and I would say slander, that was slung his way from the mainstream media in his initial run for president. He would be someone probably as revered as Barack Obama for how he handled, unfair criticism regarding to his Muslim faith, his Christian faith, and his ethnicity. People saying, oh, black man can't be president, whatever. People were concerned that he was a Muslim because of his name is Obama, various things. He took that all in stride. He took all the criticism for Obamacare in stride. Trump is not someone who handles criticism nearly as professionally or nearly as confidently as other presidents before him.
And President Trump has now ordered the Justice Department to investigate companies and Democrats who he claims had dealings with Jeffrey Epstein. And Attorney General Pam Bondi was quick to oblige, appointing the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan to handle that probe, even though 4 months ago the DOJ determined nothing in the Epstein files warranted further investigation. This week, the president's name turned up repeatedly in just released emails from the Epstein estate.
What did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago.
A lot of moving parts on this story. We get more now from CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez.
Good morning, Danny. Attorney General Pam Bondi says that federal prosecutors in New York are being tasked to launch yet another investigation of people associated with child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. This new investigation comes after President Donald Trump said that he was asking Bondi to investigate Epstein's ties to prominent Democrats.
Dang it! I thought this video would be an interview of Roger Taylor Greene. Hold on. I literally. Bro, they clickbaited me. There's no Marjorie Taylor Greene in this video. Hold on, let me see if I can find a segment of Marjorie Taylor Greene actually speaking that's not like 20 minutes long, because I don't have that amount of time here. So we know that she resigned. That was crazy. In my opinion, I think that I'm not going to react to that. Hold on. All right, I'm not going to react to that. So what I am going to react to is going to react to let me see. So now that we've covered that part of the story, we're going to cover the second part of the story,
Luckily,
which
on
is
all this breaking news,
which is Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from Congress, which was a shock to me. I really did not expect this follow-up to her breaking up with Donald Trump. Now, I will say that it is a conspiracy theory. You don't have to agree with me. Take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt because it very well might not be true. But it just is so strange to me, the timing of this. Out of the blue, Marjorie Taylor Greene opposes Donald Trump. Finally, she's seeing the light magically for some reason. And now she is resigning from Congress. It sounds to me like she is getting threatened or blackmailed in some way, shape, or form behind the scenes. And someone is making her do these things. It's like, have you seen like the Impractical Jokers meme where it's like, okay, now do this. And then the person does the thing and then like they're like laughing behind the scenes. It almost feels like that where it's like, okay, now break up with Donald Trump. You know, and it's like, okay, now leave Congress. Like that sort of like feels like what's happening here. I would love to see how CNN responded to this though. This is my favorite television show of all time. I don't think that my man, what's his name? I don't think that my favorite GOP guy is in this, but this should be a good segment nonetheless.
luckily, on all this breaking news on a Friday night, from Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from Congress to that love fest that we all just witnessed inside the Oval Office, my top political sources are here on tonight's breaking news. And Harry Anton, you're laughing very loudly. John King, you've covered the White House. I mean, dang. Between that, because it is a big picture. It's not just what we saw in the Oval Office. I mean, that with what we just learned in the last few moments that Marjorie Taylor Greene is out. I mean, if I told you a year ago that Trump and Zohran Mamdani would be like this and Marjorie Taylor Greene would be leaving Congress because of President Trump, you
shared my gin and tonic.
would have told me I was drinking.
Look, it's great to be with you all because of our shared love and affection, to quote the mayor-elect of the world turned upside down. It's amazing. It's remarkable breaking news. Look, we have lived in an age of political disruption, really since the election of Obama, but especially since Trump and the MAGA movement came along. So on the one hand, we shouldn't be surprised by disruption and disaffection and things changing, and there's no real political parties have no real center anymore. I don't mean center in the middle of the electorate. I mean they don't have any core because Trump has redefined the Republican Party. The Democratic Party's in a search and who are we mission right now. But this is still mind-blowing in the sense, let's start with Marjorie Taylor Greene. My biggest question is, what next? She just broke with the president on the Epstein files and won. She says he is tone deaf on these affordability issues, and guess what? She's right.
Yep.
Maybe the president had a shift today with the mayor-elect of New York, but up until this point, that's why his approval ratings are in the tank. So she has said up to today that she was not going to run statewide in Georgia. You know, people roll their eyes and they laugh and they say, well, when I say, well, maybe she's going to run for president. But again, Donald Trump.
You don't have to resign to run for president. You don't have to resign to run for president. It's not like the election is tomorrow or next month. You probably have at least another year before it's time for you to run for president. There's no reason why you should be resigning right now. You're not up for election for a while. Even if you were going to lose a re-election, you don't have to run for a re-election in order to maintain your current position. To me, the most logical explanation for Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning is blackmail or threats or personal stuff going on in her life, right? Like, I was musing that perhaps she was, no, I'm just not going to get into that. I feel like that's a little too mean-spirited. But maybe she's got personal stuff going on behind the scenes, either a scandal that would hurt her politically and distract her from her work, or just, private family matters, right? Everything going on in everyone's lives is not our business. So there could be other things going on, but I don't think it's any sort of political calculations or machinations. I don't think that's it.
Trump could never win the Republican nomination in 2016, and then he could never beat Hillary Clinton, of course, and he could never be president again after January 6th. Barack Obama's not going to be president of the United States. That's never going to happen. That's what they said then. Mondani can't beat Cuomo and be the mayor of New York City. So we live in the age of improbable stories in our politics because the ground beneath everybody is shifting so much. I don't know what she's going to do next. I do know one thing. Number one, she's not going to stay quiet. You know her. That's who she is. So what she decides. And number two, this is a great.
Maybe she'll replace Charlie Kirk on the Charlie Kirk Show.
Washington issue. Speaker Johnson has less than one-hand majority. When she goes away, when she goes away in January, that's another -1. I think it leaves it with +2 or +3. They don't get too much done heading into the midterm year anyway, but that's hard.
To John's point about her not staying quiet, I mean, she released a 10-minute video explaining this, and in part of it, she says, loyalty.
Braylon on the chat says, finally I can show up to a stream. I know I'm never here. I'm like never here, but you streaming on Monday. I'm probably not streaming on Monday, but you never know. I definitely will be streaming on Sunday, right? You know my Minecraft streams. That's like the most consistent I've been like all year, or at least since the summer. Oh my, excuse me. So yeah, you can catch me on Sunday. You can catch me now. Stream's almost over, but you know you're here. I'm here. That's what matters, right?
Should be a two-way street, and then we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. And America First should mean America first and only Americans first. And then she wrote this, and this is, I mean, she is directly calling out President Trump. She says, standing up for American women who were raped at 14, obviously they'd be girls, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
We are starting, in my opinion, to see the real-world consequences of what we're seeing in the polling. That is cracks, actual cracks in Trump's Republican support. His net approval rating amongst Republicans is down over 20 points since January.
I mean, you guys know that since Donald Trump started running for president for this term, claiming that he was going to shrink the government debt, it's done nothing to do that. That was just such a blatant lie. That was like I can't support him publicly anymore. I voted for him, but I can't go around telling people, hey, y'all vote for Donald Trump when he is running on a platform that's already a broken promise for the previous term. That's just a blatant lie to me. But every single, I almost feel like every month or two, I like Donald Trump less because he keeps on making mistakes. Now, he does do some good things. He's been brokering peace deals internationally, been very fantastic on that, really threaded the needle on the whole, like, Iran thing, right? Like with the dropping the bombs or whatever. I thought that could have escalated very quickly, but Trump did handle that with quite some depth. So you have to give him credit where credit is due there. But his handling of the economy, the way that he engages with his political enemies, not a big fan of it. I'm generally happy with the immigration enforcement, although I think that he does need to come up with a better system for Customs and Border Patrol to identify themselves, because it is kind of difficult to determine whether or not people who are detaining and arresting individuals on the streets who are suspected to be illegal immigrants are actually illegal immigrants. That's probably a subject for another, not actual illegal immigrants, are actually members of ICE and CBP. Now, that's a conversation for another day, probably worth another video. But in general, like, Donald Trump has done a lot of good things, I think. Fewer good things than in his first term, but he has done some good things. But still, the blunders that Trump makes, the missteps that he makes, the things he does that are wrong and worth condemnation are, to me, a lot more dramatic and a lot more obvious and consistent this time around than in the first term, right? Sticking with the whole tariff thing a lot more than he did in the first term. Not good. Saying Democrats who seem to be doing sedition, in my opinion, ought to be executed. Also not good. Trump is worthy of some significant criticism here.
January. We are seeing a president who had for months tried to ensure that the Epstein files were not going to be released, despite the fact that his approval rating on the Epstein files was south of 50%, despite the fact that the vast majority of Republicans wanted those Epstein files released. And more than that, what you saw was Marjorie Taylor Greene playing a little bit of political punditry, right? Saying that the Republican Party is likely to lose the House of Representatives come 2026. That, of course, is what we see in all the polling data as well. This, in my opinion, has been the 10 worst days of polling that Donald Trump has had throughout his entire second term, and Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning and stating what she did, in my mind, sort of puts the capstone on it, and also puts the capstone on a day in which the President of the United States met with Zohran Mamdani and that love fest. To quote the movie Tootsie, this is one nutty hospital.
Jamal, I want to know what Democrats are thinking about this nutty hospital, as Harry so lovingly puts it. But we have David Urban here. David, I mean, I've been talking to a few Republicans tonight in the last 30 minutes since this got announced. They are genuinely stunned by this news from Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Caitlin, I listened and watched the full 10 minutes right before I sat down, because like you, it's hard to wrap your head around it. You know, John gets it right, and everyone knows this. You know, this is an administration that superlatives, unprecedented this. This is truly an unprecedented day where his biggest supporter by far, I mean, I can't imagine anyone who's taken more heat for Donald Trump since she's been in office than Marjorie.
He is being quite kind. She was literally a MAGA cultist to the highest degree. No one else was running around on the phone with Donald Trump and holding it up to other people.
Taylor Greene, to her own detriment, has been, categorized as crazy, nut job, etc. Today, yet
all of those are fair, by the way. I think those are fair characterizations of her based on her behavior.
She is castigated, thrown aside as a traitor, and as you correctly pointed out, he's embracing, Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist mayor of the city of New York, like they're fraternity brothers. I mean,
embracing him is not the right word. He is being civil and being jovial. It seems like they actually get along and like each other as people. They may disagree on policies, but hey, I think this is also when another piece of proof that Donald Trump is not a conservative. You got to remember, first of all, he came for the Democratic Party. He only joined the Republican Party so he could run for president. And I think he knew that the Democratic nomination process would be rigged. So he was like, I'm not going through that. I'll never get in. Right about that. But also, he supports economic policies that are not conservative. Like, didn't the dude buy portions of Intel stock or something? That's the type of thing you would expect a Democratic socialist to do. So I think that, people have their eye off the ball on this, but I think Trump supports economic policies that are closer to a Democratic socialist like Zohran Mamdani's than someone like, I don't know, Thomas Massey, who was a principled conservative and libertarian.
It's crazy, and some of her verbiage is incredibly biting. She's not going to sit around like a battered wife and defend the president when impeachment comes in a few months. I mean, it is some pretty vitriolic language on her part.
Well,
and
that's
if you're the president, if you're Speaker Johnson, you can't be feeling too good tonight as you go to bed.
Yeah, David, I mean, her likening herself to a battered wife was very jarring, obviously, as you listen to that. But that's how she was essentially saying,
I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the epitome of out of pocket when it comes to Republican elected leaders, but it is quite dramatic, I must say.
Because I think a thing to drive home, and maybe she is running for office in 2028 or for who knows what. But I mean, this is a genuinely shocking moment, I think, for her in terms of the falling out and how hard that has hit her since this has happened. I mean, we talked to people close to her who were describing the death threats that were escalating and what this looked like, David. I mean,
it makes the Elon fight look like a pillow fight, right? President Elon, this is a joke compared to that, right? I mean, the president has said some pretty sharp things at different people at different times, and most people brush it off. Obviously, Marjorie Taylor Greene had no intention of brushing it off, and she said, look, she threw open the window and said, enough. I'm not going to put up with this anymore.
I mean, Jamal Simmons, What are Democrats saying right now?
Well, first of all, to quote Don King, only in America, right? We all never thought anything like today was going to happen. I was on CNN on Sunday with Dana Bash when she was
After she interviewed her, yeah.
She was interviewing Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I will tell you, everybody in the green room had their mouths open when she apologized for participating in the toxicity. Nobody expected her to do that, and now we see where this has led today. She's had a week of attacks. Jason Crow, I was just looking at online. Jason Crow has been publishing death threats that he's been getting because all those members and senators who came out and put that video out telling the military not to break the law have been now getting threats. So it's interesting that we're seeing the president and his party participating in the kind of violent, vitriolic stuff that we were all trying to disavow just a few months ago. And so now we're seeing that coming from the president and his allies, and I think that's really tough. But then today, the president shows up with Zohran Mamdani, and he's like soft and cuddly. It's an amazing about face.
Yeah, I also have Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California here with me. And Congressman, obviously Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the Republican women who helped you and Thomas Massie get the Epstein bills into law this week. President Trump had to sign it because they held on and did that discharge petition. And obviously that is one of the huge areas where she broke with the White House in recent weeks and months. What's your reaction to this breaking news tonight that she's resigning from Congress in January?
Well, first of all, she's shown a lot of courage on Epstein. But I also think it's important that we look beyond the caricatures about her. I've gotten to know her quite well over the last 5 months. This idea that the only reason she's acting the way she is because Donald Trump refused to endorse her in a Senate race is just not the complete truth. I mean, maybe.
No, like, I think he would have endorsed her if she didn't criticize him. That's kind of how Trump rolls. So, no, there's no way that that's the reason.
It's a small factor, but she genuinely believes against war. She was an anti-war person. She genuinely thinks AI is a real threat to jobs. She genuinely was moved by the survivors. I mean, she's been in tears with the survivors. And she probably has more populist instincts than J.D. Vance, who's the front runner on the Republican side. It would not surprise me if she runs in 2028. And I actually think she's a
kook, but she should run for president, I think.
Touch with some of the populism that fueled Donald Trump's rise than Trump and Vance are these days.
So it wouldn't surprise you if Marjorie Taylor Greene runs for president?
It would not. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to her about that. But I will tell you this. She is in touch with a populist element of the Trump base that feels increasingly abandoned by Donald Trump. And and she really speaks about forgotten Americans. And she will tell you she was for Donald Trump when no one thought Donald Trump had a chance. But CNN probably wasn't even covering Donald Trump.
I actually think that's a great point. She is someone who has been ride or die for Trump. But what is your view of his embrace of Zohran Mamdani and the way he did today? And I mean, every reporter in that room hit every sensitive touch point between the two of them. And he was defending Zohran Mamdani and sidestepping the issues and even said, yeah, you can call me a fascist. It's easier than having to explain it to people. But to see that.
Now that I think about it, I think one factor to keep in mind is that I think Donald Trump probably understands, having been a businessman in New York City, he probably understands the importance of not blowing up a relationship with the guy in New York City. So I don't think he's going to be the first one to initiate instigations if there are going to be problems in the relationship between the two. So there might be a bit of that as well, where he's like, yeah, it's the economic center of the world. You know, we really don't want to sort of like destroy what is in New York City over political disagreements. Now, if Mamdani with his economic policies does drive away people, hey, that's on him. And Trump has his hands clean of that. He actually might want Zohran Mamdani to fail on his own if he is to fail at all.
Moment parallel with her resigning, someone who was so loyal to him. I wonder what that says to you.
Well, two things. One, Donald Trump's a good politician. I mean, it would be foolish not to say that. And he has a sense of humor, and he likes people who win. And Zohran Mamdani is a winner. Donald Trump also has a populist instinct. As someone who co-chaired Bernie Sanders' campaign, you saw it. Trump said there are a lot of things that Bernie voters that he agreed with. And what Zoran Mamdani has is a boldness. And I think, frankly, Trump respects that. I went out and campaigned for Zoran Mamdani when few people were, and Zoran Mamdani didn't move his issues. He was not afraid of standing for what he believed in, and he was not afraid to request a meeting with Donald Trump. And I just think we live in a populist age. People throw around the word authenticity. I actually think that's a bit cliched. What it is really about is boldness and risk-taking and courage, and Mamdani had that. And even though I disagree with him, Trump had that when he ran, and I just think Trump recognized that in Mamdani.
Yeah, I mean that might be part of it as well, part of the factor. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream. Oh yeah, so for people wondering when I'm going to be live next, of course, join the Discord server. You will know in advance when I am going live. I don't always have a schedule. Literally, like the people in this in my Discord server knew like 30 minutes before I was going to go live that I was going live. Not part of a schedule, not part of anything. Just a perk of being a true bread boy, a true member of the community. So if you want to be a real bread boy, join the Discord server. The link is on the screens. DSCRD.NTWB. It's the place to be. If you want to chat with me, you can ask me for my input on political topics. Ask me about my faith. Ask me to react to certain things. We've got LAN party voice chat channels on there. So if you want to have a LAN party with 4 people, easily just like hop right in. Y'all can game or whatever. Let's see what else. We've got Phenomenal Beauty Highlights channel where I upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. They're all using clips from the stream. So if you're fed up with me not streaming regularly or not streaming when you want me to, check that out. I will be waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. You could get me a little bit more consistently there. Also, we've got to do the mandatory shout outs for everyone who was in the chat, because of course they all deserve it. They engage with the chat. They boost the engagement and they make the streams what they are. Shout out to the Angry Canadian. Thanks for joining the chat and sending in messages. It's great to hear that you're doing well. Great to hear that you have a roommate now. I actually didn't know you had a roommate. Yeah, I hope you do get over the fact that Mr. Pizza doesn't want you engaging with AI. Bray Leno, thanks for jumping into the chat as well, Bray Leno. There's actually a message I forgot to read out. It says, my birthday Monday and my dad's Saturday working, LOL. That's unfortunate, but I hope you have a great Monday. You can enjoy it with my video that I'm going to upload at noon. Maybe. But no, I actually hope that you don't spend your Monday engaging in my content at all. Instead, spend some time with your family, spend some time with your friends. Those are the moments that make birthdays magical. So yeah, I hope you have a great birthday. Having a birthday is like having your own national holiday. It's dope. But anyways, that's all that I have. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll see you guys in my next stream or the Discord server or wherever. Peace out, y'all.